Chapter 1. The Boy Who Saw Value Where Others Saw Nothing. Nurturing a Dream and Finding a Way to Make It Happen. In the quiet neighborhoods of Omaha, Nebraska, where the wind carried the smell of old newspapers and distant train rails, there lived a skinny boy who stared at numbers the way other children stared at comic books. His name was Warren Edward Buffett. To most people around him, he looked ordinary, small frame, oversized glasses, the kind of child who sat in the back of the classroom and listened more than he spoke. But behind those quiet eyes lived an unusual hunger, a hunger not for toys but for value, not for gains but for possibility. His dream didn't come as a sudden spark. It arrived slowly, quietly, like a whisper threading itself through the corridors of his childhood. The first seed of a dream. Warren was 6 when he earned his first few cents selling chewing gum door to door. He was 7 when he discovered that buying Coca-Cola by the 6-pack and selling the bottles individually could earn him a few extra pennies. And by 10, he had already read the stock tables printed in the local newspaper more times than he could count. While other boys dreamed of being cowboys or pilots, Warren dreamed of compounding. Though he didn't yet know that word, he simply understood instinctively that money, when treated with patience, could grow like a living thing. One afternoon, he wandered into the Omaha Public Library. He walked through aisles filled with dust and silence until he found a book that would change everything. 1,000 Ways to Make $1,000. The title hit him with the force of a revelation. $1,000, he whispered. To a child, it was an inconceivable mountain of wealth. Yet, somewhere deep inside, Warren felt, this is possible. This is real. And I can do it. That day, the seed of his life's mission was planted. The boy obsessed with learning. Warren devoured books like others devoured candy. Finance, numbers, markets, biographies of great businessmen. He read everything he could get his hands on, and every story carried the same lesson. Wealth is not an accident. Success leaves clues. He began noticing patterns. He realized that people who created lasting success weren't the fastest or strongest. They were the ones who thought differently. They saw what others ignored. They dared to be patient when the world demanded rush. Even as a child, he practiced this principle with an almost monk-like devotion. He memorized bus schedules so he could collect and resell used golf balls at the local course. He bought pinball machines, placed them in barbershops, and counted the coins late into the night while the world slept. He studied the price of newspapers so he could maximize profit on his delivery route. His life was becoming a laboratory, and he was the young scientist experimenting with value. The first dream takes shape. At 11, Warren bought his first stock 3 shares of City's Service Preferred. He bought at $38, watched it drop to $27, panicked as any child would, and then watched it climb back to $40. He sold it immediately, proud of his $2 gain per share. But then, the stock continued rising to $200. It was the first great lesson of his life. The big money is not in the buying or selling, but in the waiting. This mistake didn't discourage him. It sharpened him. It whispered a truth that would one day make him the greatest investor in history. The unusual teenager. As he moved through his teenage years, Warren did not walk the same path as others. He lived in spreadsheets long before they existed. He spent his nights calculating how compounded interest behaved over 10, 20, or 50 years. He dreamed not of being rich, but of understanding how wealth worked. To him, the world was a vast puzzle, and he believed that if he learned how to read people, markets, and businesses, he could solve it. Most teenagers rebelled with loud music. Warren rebelled with knowledge. While his friends went to dances, he read Benjamin Graham's Security Analysis. While others saved for baseball cards, Warren saved for stocks, while boys his age competed for attention. Warren competed with himself, trying to make each dollar work harder than the last. Finding the path. By the time he turned 19, Warren knew he wanted to spend his life investing, but he needed a mentor, someone who could show him the discipline buried beneath the numbers. That mentor came in the form of Benjamin Graham, the legendary father of value investing. When Warren discovered that Graham was teaching at Columbia Business School, he made a decision that would alter the direction of his entire life. He packed his bags. He left Omaha. He traveled across the country not for a degree, but for wisdom. And in the dimly lit lecture halls of Columbia, he found it. Graham's teaching was simple yet profound. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Those words didn't just inspire Warren. They entered his bloodstream. They became the foundation of his dream. He wasn't chasing money. He was chasing value. A deeper, purer form of wealth. The birth of an inner philosophy. Every dream needs direction. Graham gave Warren that direction, but Warren gave it soul. He refined his beliefs. Patience beats speed. Simplicity beats complexity. Clarity beats noise. Character beats talent. Slowly, Warren began crafting the invisible blueprint of his future company. A vision not yet named, but already alive. He imagined a firm built not on speculation, but on understanding. Not on gambling, but on principles. Not on greed, but on long-term thinking. At night, he sat by his small study desk, writing notes that would one day shape Berkshire Hathaway. Find great businesses, buy them cheap, hold them forever. His dream was no longer a whisper. It was becoming a compass, and every compass points to a destination. The first door opens. After finishing his studies, Warren returned to Omaha. He was 21. He had no company, no clients, and very little money, but he had a dream sharp enough to cut mountains. He began investing for friends and family small amounts. Small beginnings. He worked tirelessly, reading hundreds of pages a day, analyzing companies that others overlooked. While the world tried to get rich quickly, Warren focused on getting rich wisely. His partnerships grew. His reputation grew, and his dream, now fully formed, pulled him forward like an unseen force. He wasn't successful yet, not even close. But he had found the road, and sometimes that's the hardest part. Narrator reflection. Lessons from the early years. Warren Buffett's early life teaches us. Success starts quietly, in the mind of someone who refuses to give up curiosity. Dreams grow not from luck but from repetition, discipline, and obsession. The world rewards those who dare to study what others ignore. Big achievements begin with small experiments. A dream becomes real the moment you stop wishing and start learning. These early chapters of Warren's life remind us that your future is built in the hours no one sees. And as Warren stepped into adulthood with his dreams sharp, his principles clear, and his path finally opening before him, the stage was set for a journey filled with storms he had yet to overcome. Chapter 2. The storms that shape a legend. Difficulties encountered, and finding a way to overcome them. The dream was planted. The path was chosen. But no great life unfolds without trials powerful enough to test the core of a person's character. For Warren Buffett, the road to success was not a straight line of wins and early triumphs. It was full of invisible battles, rejections, failures, betrayals, and forces far beyond his control. Yet each difficulty carved him, sharpened him, and slowly turned the young man from Omaha into the Oracle of Omaha. This is the chapter of storms, the chapter where the dream nearly broke, and the chapter where Warren learned the hard way. Character is built in the dark, long before success shines in the light. The first great heartbreak, rejected by his dream school. At 19, Warren had one overwhelming ambition: to study under Benjamin Graham, the man who had become his invisible mentor through books. Harvard Business School was the dream gateway. He prepared meticulously. He practiced his interviews. He believed, truly believed, that he was ready. And then, the letter arrived. He was rejected. Not waitlisted. Not considered for next year. Simply rejected. His dream school slammed its doors shut. Warren would later recall the feeling, as though the world had made a clerical error with my destiny. For a young man whose entire identity revolved around learning and discipline, the rejection felt personal, unfair, nonsensical. But rejection has a strange way of redirecting destiny. Still determined to find a way, Warren searched for alternatives, eventually discovering that Benjamin Graham taught not at Harvard, but at Columbia Business School. The rejection that once felt like a tragedy suddenly became the doorway to his greatest blessing. Life whispered its first big lesson. Not getting what you want can be the greatest stroke of luck. The job he thought had earned, but didn't. After studying under Graham, Warren wanted nothing more than to work at Graham Newman Corp. It was the perfect fit. Value investing, long-term thinking, and the mentor he respected most. But when he applied, Graham politely turned him down. Another rejection. Another blow. "You're too young," they said. "Go learn more first," they suggested. To Warren, it felt like a punch to the chest. He had knowledge, hunger, an unmatched work ethic. Why wasn't that enough? Still, he didn't argue. He didn't complain. He simply went home to Omaha and started working on his own. Painful as it was, this rejection planted another seed. Sometimes, the world says no, because life is forcing you to build your own path. And Warren did exactly that. The weight of responsibility investing other people's money. When Warren began forming his investment partnerships, he was only 25. He had confidence in his philosophy, but confidence doesn't erase pressure. Every dollar he invested belonged to someone who trusted him. He felt every responsibility like a physical weight. At night, while his young children slept, Warren stayed awake, poring over annual reports, company statements, and market movements. He read so much his eyes burned, and his shoulders stiffened. He worried the way only a man who cares deeply can worry. What if he made a mistake? What if he lost people's money? What if he wasn't as good as he believed? Fear was his silent companion, but instead of letting fear weaken him, he used it as fuel. He tightened his discipline. He read more, studied harder, analyzed deeper. His fear forged his philosophy. Never risk a permanent loss of capital. Rule no. 1. Never lose money. Rule no. 2. Never forget rule no. These rules weren't born from arrogance. They were born from anxiety, responsibility, and sleepless nights. The market storms that nearly broke him. The stock market is a battlefield, and even the greatest generals face losses. 1. The market crash of the 1,950 seconds. A sudden downturn wiped out enthusiasm across America, and for a young investor, fear spread faster than facts. Warren's portfolio dropped. Clients whispered. Some wondered if they had trusted a naive young man. Some wanted to pull out. Warren made the hardest choice a leader can make. He asked anyone who doubted him to leave the partnership. He would rather work with 5 loyal people than 50 anxious ones. And his courage steadied the ship. He survived the crash because he stayed calm while others panicked. As he often said later, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. 2. The Dempster Mill manufacturing crisis. One of Warren's early investments was Dempster Mill, a declining company, drowning in mismanagement and inefficiency. The stock was cheap, but the problems were enormous. Weak leadership, declining sales, outdated equipment, low morale among employees. Warren had two choices: walk away, step in, and fight. He chose to fight. It took years of difficult decisions, negotiations, restructuring, and endless uncertainty. At times, even Warren doubted the possibility of saving the company. But in the end, he turned it around, proving to himself that a great price can be a wonderful opportunity if you have the courage to fix what others fear. The betrayal that left a scar, the Berkshire Hathaway trap. Before Berkshire became the empire it is today, it was a failing textile mill. Warren did not originally plan to buy it outright. He only wanted to invest at a fair price. But when the management of Berkshire broke their promise, offering him a lower price than they agreed upon, something inside Warren snapped. He felt betrayed, disrespected. This was not a business mistake. It was a moral one, and in a move driven more by emotion than logic, Warren bought the entire company just to remove the people who broke their word. Years later, he would call this the worst investment I ever made. Berkshire's textile division continued losing money for decades. It drained resources and caused years of frustration. But ironically, this painful mistake created the very vehicle that would one day become Warren's empire. Life's paradox: a mistake big enough can become your greatest turning point if you learn from it. The inner battles, the struggle with time, balance, and obsession. Success demands sacrifice, and Warren paid that price. He struggled with work-life balance. He worked tirelessly. He read nonstop. His mind was always in motion. He loved his family deeply, but he often felt torn between home and the calling of his dream. Later in life, he would openly admit, "I was lucky. My family understood my obsession." He battled isolation. Genius is often lonely. Warren's thinking was different, unusual, and sometimes misunderstood. People laughed at his long-term approach. They said he was too cautious, too boring, too slow. Yet he stayed the course. He let criticism sharpen him, not discourage him. He confronted the fear of being wrong. Even the world's greatest investor woke up some days wondering, what if I am making a mistake? What if this time I am wrong? But he kept reading, kept analyzing, kept learning small steps that kept fear from taking over. How Warren overcame his difficulties. Every storm taught him something. Rejection taught him redirection. Harvard said no. Columbia said yes. Graham became his teacher. Fear taught him discipline. Fear of losing money created strict investment rules. Market crashes taught him patience. He learned to stay calm while others panicked. Betrayal taught him integrity. The Berkshire incident taught him to never act out of anger again. Loneliness taught him independence. Being different is not a disadvantage. It is a strength. Failures taught him humility. Even the smartest investor can be wrong. Humility protects you more than intelligence ever will. And from these experiences, Warren formed the quiet, unshakable philosophy that later shaped his empire. Success is not about avoiding losses. It's about managing them, learning from them, and never repeating them. Narrator, reflection lessons from Warren's trials. These difficulties didn't break Warren Buffett. They built Warren Buffett. His storms remind us, rejection does not kill a dream, giving up does. Pain is a mentor disguised in an unpleasant form. The greatest opportunities hide behind fear. Integrity is worth more than intelligence. Sometimes, your biggest mistakes become your biggest blessings. Discipline outperforms talent. Long-term thinking is a superpower in a world addicted to speed. And perhaps the deepest lesson of all, a person becomes unshakable only after life has shaken them again and again. Warren's storms were not signs to stop. They were the training grounds, preparing him for what came next, the era of extraordinary success, the rise of Berkshire Hathaway, and the birth of one of the greatest financial legends in human history. Chapter 3. The Rise of a Legend. Reaping Success. The transformation of Warren Buffett into the Oracle of Omaha. Success rarely arrives like thunder. Most people imagine a dramatic rise, a sudden breakthrough, a single moment when everything changes. But Warren Buffett's rise was different. His success grew quietly like a tree. Slow roots, patient growth, then an unstoppable expansion that reshaped the entire landscape of global finance. This is the chapter of harvest, the chapter where years of discipline, obsession, and hardship begin to bear fruit. The chapter where a dream turns into a legacy. The turning point when Buffett partnership took off. In the late 1950 seconds and early 1960 seconds, Warren's investment partnerships were still small. He ran them from a modest office in Omaha, reading endlessly, managing money with meticulous discipline. And then, something remarkable happened. His track record exploded. While the market averaged modest returns, Warren consistently delivered results far beyond expectations. Clients who once whispered doubts now told everyone they knew. His reputation grew quietly, steadily, without advertising, without flashy moves, without shortcuts. His formula? Simple, but not easy. Buy undervalued companies. Avoid speculation. Never compromise on integrity. Stay rational when others panic. Hold long-term positions. Study until the truth becomes obvious. Soon, his partnerships began compounding at extraordinary rates. It was the first glimpse of the genius that would later shock the world. The Berkshire Hathaway transformation. Berkshire Hathaway, originally a failing textile mill, was supposed to be a mistake, a bad investment, a moment of anger, a decision driven by emotion more than logic. And yet, fate has a strange sense of humor. What should have ruined him became the greatest platform of his entire life. Warren slowly transformed Berkshire from a dying textile business into a holding company, a fortress through which he could buy entire enterprises, not just stocks. This shift changed everything. He acquired insurance companies, most importantly, Geico, a purchase that would become legendary. He bought newspapers, banks, manufacturing companies, not because they were glamorous, but because they were undervalued gems. He invested in Coca-Cola, a company whose brand was so powerful, it became one of his all-time greatest wins. He invested in American Express, after a major scandal made everyone panic except Warren. He rescued companies, strengthened industries, and reshaped markets. Quietly, patiently, rationally. The world began to refer to him as the Oracle of Omaha, not because he predicted the future, but because he could see what others overlooked. Building an empire of integrity. Success without character collapses. But Warren built Berkshire on principles strong enough to last generations. 1. He refused to take on debt. He hated unnecessary risk. He built temperance into the company's DNA. 2. He only bought businesses he understood. If he didn't understand it, he didn't touch it. His simplicity became his superpower. 3. He trusted managers completely. He hired great people, then stepped back. No micromanagement, no meddling, only respect. 4. He communicated with brutal honesty. His annual letters became legendary, clear, honest, humorous, and deeply educational. Investors loved him not for charisma, but for integrity. Customers trusted him because he never overpromised. He always told the truth, even when the truth was uncomfortable. That honesty built a brand more valuable than gold. Geico, the investment that changed everything. In the 1970 seconds, Geico was on the brink of collapse. Huge losses, poor management, falling customer base, analysts calling it doomed. Investors fled. But Warren didn't see a dying company. He saw a business with a competitive advantage, so strong that temporary problems couldn't erase it, while others ran away. He invested heavily, nearly everything he could, and when Geico recovered, it multiplied Berkshire's strength and became one of the greatest investment stories in history. It taught Warren a lesson he would repeat for decades. Opportunities come rarely. When it rains gold, bring a bucket, not a thimble. The Coca-Cola miracle. Coca-Cola stock plummeted. After years of stagnation, Warren studied the company like a detective studying a crime scene. The brand value was unmatched. The global distribution network was unmatched. The business model was timeless. The margins were incredible. The stock was simply underpriced. So he made a move that stunned Wall Street. He invested $1 billion, a massive sum at the time. People said he was crazy, too old-fashioned, too slow, too conservative. They were wrong. By the 1,990 seconds, Coca-Cola delivered a return so incredible that it became one of the most famous investments in global history. Warren once said, "A great business at a fair price is superior to a fair business at a great price." Coca-Cola was the proof, becoming a global icon. By the late 1,990 seconds, Warren Buffett had become more than an investor. He had become a symbol of discipline, a symbol of old-school wisdom, a symbol of patience, rationality, and ethics in a world obsessed with speed. His annual shareholder meetings were no longer just meetings, they became Woodstock for capitalists. People traveled from all over the world just to hear him speak. Yet through all the praise, Warren remained humble. He still lived in the same modest house he bought decades earlier. He still used the same wallet. He still ate simple meals, burgers, cherry Coke, peanut brittle. He once joked, "I am not interested in a yacht. Most of my pleasure comes from things that cost nothing." Success never changed him. If anything, it made him even more grounded. The 2008 financial crisis, Buffett's finest hour, when the world collapsed financially, when banks fell, markets crashed, and fear spread like wildfire, one man stood calm. Warren. While others screamed, he studied. While others ran, he walked forward. While others panicked, he acted. He made bold moves. He invested in Goldman Sachs. He supported Bank of America. He backed companies when no one else dared. His confidence stabilized markets. His decisions saved jobs. His presence reassured the world. And when the crisis ended, Berkshire emerged stronger than ever. It was a real-world demonstration of one of his most famous teachings. You only find out who is swimming naked when the tide goes out. Buffett wasn't swimming naked. He had built a fortress. The Buffett-Munger era, a partnership for the ages. Warren Buffett may be a legend, but he was never alone. His partnership with Charlie Munger was one of the most powerful collaborations in business history. Munger refined Warren's philosophy, pushing him beyond pure value investing. He encouraged him to buy great businesses, not just cheap ones. He sharpened Warren's logic, expanded his perspective, and strengthened his discipline. Together, they built an empire. Warren often said, "Charlie made me a better investor, a better thinker, and a better human." Their friendship shaped Berkshire as much as Warren's genius did. The legacy takes shape. By the 2010 seconds, Warren Buffett had become one of the richest individuals on earth, the most respected investor alive, a global voice of wisdom and reason, a philanthropist who pledged 99% of his wealth, a mentor to millions who never met him, a symbol of disciplined success. The world no longer questioned his methods. They studied them, admired them, followed them. Buffett had achieved what very few in history ever do. He created an era. He created a philosophy. He created a legacy. Narrator commentary: what Buffett's success teaches us. Warren Buffett's success didn't come from luck, talent, or genius alone. It came from virtues anyone can practice: patience. In a rushing world, discipline. In a distracted world, integrity. In a dishonest world, long-term thinking. In a short-term culture, his journey teaches us success is a slow burn, not an explosion. Your biggest advantage is not your IQ, it's your temperament. Reading, learning, and thinking are superpowers. Good character is a better investment than any stock. A calm mind outperforms a brilliant mind. Most people try to get rich fast. Warren's life proves getting rich slowly is far more powerful and far more permanent. His harvest was not luck. It was the result of decades of planting, watering, waiting, and believing. And now, we approach the final and most important part of his story: the lessons, the quotes, the philosophies, the rules that shaped his extraordinary life. Chapter 4: Quotes, Philosophies, and the Rules that Built a Legend. The distilled wisdom of Warren Buffett, the principles he lived by, and the lessons that can reshape your future. When Warren Buffett became successful, he didn't speak like a billionaire. He spoke like a teacher, like a mentor who wanted others to rise with him. His wisdom wasn't poetic, wasn't complex, wasn't filled with fancy vocabulary. It was sharp, practical, simple enough for anyone to understand, yet deep enough to change a life. This final chapter brings together the philosophies that shaped his journey, the rules that guided his decisions, and the quotes that inspired millions. They are not just words. They are a blueprint. The philosophy of patience. Buffett built his empire slowly, steadily, brick by brick. He often reminded the world, the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. This philosophy extends beyond investing. It's a rule for life. Relationships take time. Skills take time. Confidence takes time. Mastery takes time. Dreams take time. In a world demanding instant gratification, Buffett teaches the opposite. Play the long game, because everything meaningful takes longer than you think. The power of compounding, a superpower anyone can use. Buffett's greatest ally was not intelligence. It was time. His wealth didn't come from one lucky moment. It came from decades of compounding. He said, "My life has been a product of compound interest." Compounding applies not only to money, but to daily habits, discipline, reading, learning, self-improvement, consistency. Each small effort multiplies. Each small step compounds. And one day, those tiny actions become unstoppable force. The lesson? Do small things every day and never stop. The value of reading. Buffett spent almost 80% of his day reading. Why? Because he believed, the more you learn, the more you earn. Buffett knew information decays. Knowledge loses relevance. You must keep learning, or you fall behind. He read to understand the world. He read to see patterns others missed. He read to prepare for decisions before they arrived. His message to young people was simple. Read 500 pages every day. That's how knowledge builds up, even if you don't reach 500. Reading will still change your future. The rules of risk. How Buffett stayed safe while others collapsed. The world admires Buffett for his success. But the real secret? He simply avoided disaster. He had two famous rules. 1. Rule no. 1. Never lose money. Rule no. 2. Never forget rule no. 1. Of course, losing money is sometimes unavoidable. The meaning is deeper. Avoid unnecessary risks. Avoid emotional decisions. Avoid FOMO. Avoid trends you don't understand. Protect your downside before chasing upside. Buffett built a fortress, not by being bold, but by being careful. The importance of character. Buffett was obsessed with character. When hiring, he didn't seek perfect resumes. He sought integrity. He said, if they don't have integrity, you want them dumb and lazy, not smart and hardworking. Why? Because a brilliant but unethical person can destroy a company in days. Buffett believed, trust is more valuable than money. Reputation takes decades to build and seconds to break. Character compounds. Just like wealth, he reminded young people, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. Your character is your greatest asset. The value of simplicity. Buffett avoided complexity like a plague. He said, the business schools reward difficult behavior more than simple behavior. But simple behavior is more effective. While others chased complicated strategies, he stuck to simplicity. Understand the business. Buy at the right price. Hold long term. Do not panic. Do not gamble. Focus on the fundamentals. The lesson. Simplicity is mastery. The art of saying no. Buffett was selective, extremely selective. He said, the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. He protected his time ruthlessly. He said no to unnecessary meetings, bad deals, complicated opportunities, drama, urgency, distractions. Success often requires subtraction, not addition. The philosophy of work. Do what you love. Buffett refused to spend his life doing things he didn't enjoy. He said, I tap dance to work every day. He believed the key to a great life was simple. Do what you love. Work with people you admire. Build something meaningful. Replace stress with passion. Money was never the goal. Money was a consequence. He once told students, find a job you would take if you didn't need the money. The value of good partnership. Buffett often said his partnership with Charlie Munger was one of the greatest blessings of his life. Their philosophies combined into a powerful formula for success. Munger sharpened Warren's thinking. Warren amplified Munger's wisdom. Together, they built an empire. Buffett's lesson. You will move in the direction of the people you associate with. Choose friends who pull you upward, not downward. The power of temperament over intelligence. Buffett always insisted that success was not about IQ. He said, what you need is the temperament to control the urges that get other people into trouble. He believed, emotional control beats brilliance. Calm minds make better decisions. Fear and greed are deadly. Discipline is a competitive advantage. The world rewards people who can remain stable when everyone else is shaking. The ethics of wealth and the responsibility to give back. Buffett shocked the world when he pledged to donate 99% of his wealth. He believed, if you're in the luckiest 1% of humanity, you owe it to the rest of humanity to think about the other 99%. Wealth wasn't for luxury, it was for impact. Buffett teaches us, success is empty without generosity. Wealth is meaningless without purpose. The greatest return is contribution. He wanted young people to remember, price is what you pay. Value is what you get. And the greatest value is the value you create for others. The final lesson, how to live a good life. In his older years, Buffett became less interested in business advice and more interested in life advice. His wisdom simplified. The best investment you can make is in yourself. The happiest people do what they love. Surround yourself with people better than you. The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. These were not lessons about money. They were lessons about living. They tell us, Build good habits early. Guard your environment. Choose love over money. Value time over wealth. Live simply, honestly, intentionally. Buffett's philosophies can be summarized in one sentence. You don't need to be brilliant. You just need to be disciplined. Narrator closing. What Warren Buffett teaches the modern dreamer. Warren Buffett's life is proof that great success comes from small daily effort. Good habits outperform natural talent. Long-term thinking is a superpower. Calmness is a strategy. Rationality is rare and valuable. Patience creates miracles. Integrity never goes out of style. His story is an invitation to think long-term, to be patient, to stay rational, to keep learning, to build quietly, to improve daily, to choose character over shortcuts, to live a life driven by purpose, not applause. He built an empire not through speed, not through luck, not through genius, but through consistency, principles, and an unshakable belief in the power of time. This is the final truth Warren Buffett leaves us with. Time favors the disciplined, and now the story is yours. What you do with it, that is your legacy.